is how we got to this massive $5.10 return on investment. The other big goal that Liz talked about is that our clients, 95% of the time, have the outcome that they came into. So when we do our intake process, one of the first things we ask is, what's your goal? How can we help you achieve whatever your goal is? And for us, that's so vital, this entire process. Attorneys can have their own goals. They can know what the best legal outcome is, and they can know what they think is best for the client. But we want to put the client first. We want to make sure that they are getting everything they need from interfacing with us. And so when we do that during the intake process, 95% of the time, we help them achieve their goal. That could be more time. It could be a dismissed eviction. It could be moving to a safer place to live. And when we have such a high rate of success, that speaks to this coalition first model yet again. Another key fact that you'll see in that one-pager is that half of the ERTC clients who would have experienced homelessness avert homelessness, and they stay stably housed, oftentimes in low affordable housing or low income-based housing. Those are folks that would have been on the street experiencing homelessness, that could have had children, could have had disabilities. And we've kept nearly half of those that would have experienced that, kept them stably housed. And the last thing I'll take you home with for this one-pager, the thing that the Stout report culminates in, that we're very proud of, is that to fully sustain this kind of program that we built here in Davidson County, this coalition first model, building on our last 2 years of success, to fully implement that in Davidson County, it would cost about $9.3 million. And Stout then estimates that that return on investment for the city every single year will be between $33 million and $43 million returned every single year. That's money right back to the city. That's money into the pockets of our residents that need it the most. And that's a culmination of all the work that we've put into to make sure all the folks that need this assistance are getting it. Now more into the weeds, so now's the time to grab some chop. Again, like I said, we are client-centered. We look at our goals. These are the top 3 goals that our clients have called in with. We achieve them at very high rates. And then I'm going to talk a bit about this level of service. So for our attorneys in the room, you'll know there's extended service, counsel and advice letters, and limited service, limited action. So we are helping folks the way they need it. Sometimes when someone calls in, they may not need an attorney in court. They may just have one question that they need a very specific answer to, and we can provide that. But sometimes the client does need us in court. They need us with them with a social worker, walking them through the court process, being with them in the courtroom, talking to a judge, talking to an attorney. And that's that extended service limited action bit of it. And we're able to do both. We can help people with a single question, and we can really get in the weeds with someone. We've recently just closed a case that we've been working on for about 2 years from the jump of this project. We just really closed it maybe 3 weeks ago, and kept this person stably housed, ensured she had all the resources that she needed, and that was an extensive service case. We also had a call a week ago. Can my landlord do this? No. Great, now's it, right? So it's the varying levels of service that we're able to provide to really make sure we're giving the client exactly what they need. And some more statistics. When we're looking at our client demographic information and what they're doing, something that really stands out to us is the number of folks that are actively working. They could be working 40 hours, 50, 60 hours a week. They could be a single mother. They could be trying to work 2 or 3 jobs and juggle different life responsibilities. But they fall a month behind on rent. My brakes just went out a week ago. And that was tough, having to try and get some rides, and my wife and I had to coordinate driving. That can really set some folks back if that's their only means to get to work. If they don't have a flexible schedule, that could mean they could fall behind on rent. They could lose their job. Or there could be a hospitalization where they need to be in the hospital. Now they're faced with medical bills. And these folks just fall behind a month, 2 months. And we're seeing that those are the folks that are in the most desperate need, folks that are really working as much as they can, doing their best, living paycheck to paycheck. And those are the folks that are calling in to us. You'll also note that we do a lot of our regulations and guidelines based on the federal poverty level, the FPL. Most of our folks are near the bottom. They're at or below the poverty level. More than nearly 50% of those folks are at or below the poverty level. We're able to help folks up to 400%, which is incredible for our program. We're able to help folks that are middle class, that are dual incomes in a household, but maybe had that one thing that happened in their life they weren't prepared for. And we can step in and help those folks, which is just a credit to the awesome funding regulations that we have from Metro Council. Now let's look at the fiscal impact for our clients. Liz mentioned this already, and I can't overstate it enough. The average fiscal impact for each client is about $10,000. So if someone comes in and they're like, hey, I need the situation resolved. I'm behind on rent. I might lose my housing. What can we do to help? For the average of those folks that need our help, it's about $10,000. That's keeping folks housed. That is making sure folks staying on their Section 8 voucher or staying in public housing that they can afford. And again, that number over the course of these 2.5 years is nearly $6 million directly into the pockets of our clients. That is right for them to pay rent relief, to cover owed debts, to make sure they have a leg up and continue paying rent and continue to have success, however they define it. And that is just truly an impact that's really unique to our program across the country, that we're putting money directly into the pockets of those that really need it the most. And then I just want to touch a bit about affordable housing. These are folks that are often in the most need, folks that are having a disability, folks that are unable to work or maybe even need some services from the state government. These are the folks that call us the most. And we're able to give them the most fiscal impact for them. So we are able to cover for a good period of time several months worth of rent based on some programs that we are working with and some connections that we made for our coalition. And we were able to make sure that these folks that were already in this very need-heavy space got all of their needs and could continue living and thriving the way that they need to. And the last bit I'll talk about before I toss it over to Councilwoman Zulfat-Sawara is what it means for Nashville. Right? Ultimately, we need to make sure that this program is one that's benefiting the city. The money that's invested into us is being invested back into our community. And the way we do this is looking at the social safety net savings of a city. That looks at ER costs for folks experiencing homelessness, the cost of helping folks that are experiencing homelessness, folks that are operating shelters. All those costs are combined to what we call a social safety net. And if you look into the body of the report, it breaks it down even more exactly how much money we can save in each of those different categories. And again, I'll say it because it's kind of the ringer for us, and the thing we're most proud of. For every dollar given to us from Metro Council, that's a $5.10 return to the city. That means we are giving all that money back and then some to the city and to the residents that live there. And I think that's incredible. It's oftentimes a program that we're able to give back to our community. We're living in the community. A lot of our folks that work in this coalition could be eligible for our services, right? So we're working with the community. We're making sure we're meeting them where they are at, making sure we know what their needs are. And being able to return that investment to the people we're trying to help is really what we're most proud of. And I'll turn it over to kind of the incubator of this whole idea, Councilwoman Zulfat-Sawara, who came up with this while I was in high school, was when we started kicking the tires on this, right? So this has been long, her project, and we're so happy to have her support. And so Councilwoman Sawara, I'll toss it over to you. This is very good. Yep.
Okay. Hi, everyone. The ERTC program means so much to me. I've been on grandma duties for the last 1 week. It was so hard to put the baby down this morning, but because of this program, I was like, I have to be here. And you can see why. I wanted to start with the comment that Sabina made off the cuff. She didn't pay any attention to it, but most of us in the room did. I did. The young family that was helped, the daughter went ahead to be the valedictorian. Think about that again. Think about what could have happened if they lose their home, if they had to be homeless. What would have happened to that child? How would she have been able to concentrate in school and to be able to have the achievement that she did? That's an hallmark of this program. That's what this program means to me. That's why it's so important. Someone quoted Matthew this month, and Matthew in his book referred to this that I always talk about when we talk about eviction right to counsel, and I wanted to read it to you. In the book it says, a group of psychiatrists published a letter in the psychiatric services identifying eviction as a significant precursor of suicide. The letter emphasized that none of the patients were facing homelessness, leading the psychiatrists to attribute the suicides to eviction itself. Eviction must be considered a traumatic rejection, they wrote, a denial of one's most basic human needs, and an exquisitely shameful experience. when you lose your home. The one thing that is just where you feel comfortable, where your secret is safe, and you don't have that anymore. That can shatter anybody and everybody. And that's what this program means. And so I'm very grateful to Erin Acre for coming to me and actually putting that idea in my mind many years ago. Erin was wonderful. Now, I introduced Erin to Vanderbilt through Asina Moyudin. She actually worked with the students in doing the study, so I'm very grateful to her. And on a parallel universe, that Kenya was already working on all of this, and so while we're still trying to think about what is this program, how do we fund it, here comes Legal Aid that has the whole package, and we were able to run off with it also thanks to the ARP. I want to thank everybody that is involved in this program, the Legal Aid, the National Hispanic Bar, Connection Americas, Rooftop, AMAC, the Conflict Resolution Centers. It takes a lot of teamwork. And I would be remiss if I do not thank the mayor, who was then Councilmember O'Connor, who is now our mayor, for his support, and my colleagues that are here. I actually wanted to recognize some of the councilmembers in the room. Councilmember Terry Vo is here, he will stand. Councilmember Erin Evans, Councilmember Brenda Gad. You know why I'm calling them out? Because when it comes to funding, you know the people that you can go harass. Because the part that is incredible about this program is that this wonderful thing that all of these organizations are doing would not be possible without money. That's one of the things that we find out when we first started talking about it with Erin, is that how do we fund it? How much would it cost? And so we need to be able to keep it funded. And what the study is just showing us, with every dollar that we put in, we get